Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Superbian Avarice podcast. This is Kyle, and I'm your host. Today, we'll be talking about the democratic backslide in the United States. And it's the first part of a series where I look in and discuss various democratic backsliding in various countries. The democratic backsliding is a term used when a country goes from being a liberal democracy and starts backsliding into a totalitarian or authoritarian state with a dictator. The United States has had a problem recently, and globally actually, there's several different countries and nations that are backsliding into totalitarianism. But currently, we're discussing America, because America's where I live, so that's important to me. Okay, so it's been probably more pronounced with Trump, the gradual expansion of executive powers, and the Congress's unwillingness to even check their own party members who's in office. And the fact is, Trump's kind of an idiot. But what he's doing is setting up a dangerous precedent for someone who actually way smarter, who knows the system way better, to actually overthrow the republic. Who knows when that would happen, or any safe, because currently he's weakening all the safeguards in our system, all the checks and balances, because currently he's getting away with all of it. The Republicans have been packing the courts since he's gotten elected, after they stonewalled a bunch of Obama's court nominations, including his Supreme Court. But that's not the only thing. He's routinely told various officials who are subpoenaed by the House committees and Senate committees to not report anything and basically stonewall the whole investigation, which is something an authoritarian would do. And he actively is undermining the democratic process by telling his supporters that he won't believe any he may or not agree with the election results. And the fact is currently the current postmaster general he appointed is actively destroying the United States postal system, clearly to help Trump win the election with vote-in ballots. And is currently using whatever propaganda he can to basically make the results seem invalid. And this is all the stuff a populist dictator does. And no one's really doing anything about it. If he was smarter, we might have a problem. But he's just setting the groundwork for someone else to do it. By the expansion of executive branch, the executive branch has been growing for the last 100 years. Congress has been giving the executive branch more and more powers, but his current executive orders and basically ignoring the rule of law, and basically the Supreme Court saying the president can do whatever the fuck they want, and that sort of stuff sets a very bad precedent. If someone who's actually competent and intelligent and knows how to work the system gets in office, that person can easily destroy our system. Trump is currently exposing all the weak points of the American system, and most of our system is based on trust. There aren't really any laws to hold the president accountable. It's literally just the Congress, and if your party controls at least one house, you're good to go to do whatever the fuck you want. And you can stonewall literally any investigation into anything you do. It's kind of surprising how much the American system's built on trust and respect for the whole democratic process in the republic. Our republic could fail like all the others. It's pretty common right now for right-wing populists to start descending into authoritarianism, with currently in Turkey, India, Hungary, a lot of right-wing populist nationalists have gained power. And they're currently using their powers to change their constitutions, pack courts to increase their own power, and to make it and change their whole constitutions. I'm not saying that can happen here. Well, it can happen here, but it's not happening yet. Because actually, as last time I checked, there were some people trying to start a constitutional convention, and there's a lot of Republican states trying to set that up that actually voted for it. I think it's 3/4 or 3/5 of the states to actually cause a constitutional convention, but that's what we're talking about right now. That could actually happen. There's a lot of ways you can basically overthrow the government. If you're like overthrow the rest of, expand your personal power and become a dictator for life in America. But hey, some of his current executive orders though, where he's cutting the payroll, like he's ending the payroll tax temporarily, which I don't think he can actually do because I'm pretty sure Congress controls how taxes are actually handled. It's literally in the Constitution. He's ordering basically FEMA and the Department of Defense to send money to the states, give everyone like an extra $300 from the federal government, an extra $100 from the state for unemployment. But the only problem is that most of the states don't have the money for that, and it would take several months to actually set up that system because that system currently is not in place. A lot of things he's doing is to like, it's a distraction because most of his executive orders really have no effect on people's lives right now, and he's just trying to gain like popularity and to show he's doing something, because the Republicans are currently stonewalling negotiations into the COVID aid because the Democrats want to give people more help and the Republicans want to keep the price tag low, even though they have no problem adding in a bunch of bullshit for tax cuts, protecting businesses and the FBI. Oh yeah, the fact is too, he's been using ICE and other federal agencies to actually black bag and like hunt down protesters since literally the beginning, because they were doing this months into his administration when the first protests against his immigration policy. Any like dreamers, anyone on DACA who was going to these protests were actually being stalked and followed by ICE, and they would literally get arrested and get deported back to like wherever they came from, like Mexico and stuff. He's like, it's like this is how an authoritarian, like a fascist state begins, to be honest. Like slowly but surely, we're moving towards like the decline of our democracy by undermining the electoral process itself, putting in doubts, and him actively destroying the postal service. He's setting up a way. It might not even be him who, like, he wants to be a dictator. He clearly loves power. That's why he's been a CEO in like a bunch of failed corporations. Like, he's an internal threat to our whole political system. And he was created by basically years of expanding executive power in the Republican Party and like running on nationalism and populist like promises. But here's the thing, right-wing populists aren't really populists. They're really just authoritarians. To be honest, most populists lead into dictators and authoritarianism. Look at Hugo Chavez. Like, Republicans like to complain and like say how much of a failed state Venezuela is. Be like, Hugo Chavez was just a leftist populist. Like, at least he did like good things for Venezuela with like socializing, like making like oil and gas companies not private, like public instead of being privatized, and he was using the money to actually feed and help the poor. But it, like, after he died though, what's his face who turned that country into shit? Hugo Chavez, probably. I don't really know a lot about Hugo Chavez. I really haven't looked into it, but there's like some good stuff he did. Probably just a lot of horrible shit he did too. I'll look into it later. But left-wing populism is kind of different, because look at like they all practice the thing where you try to like delegitimize the media, and make sure everyone like control the sources of information. Like in Hungary, they recently passed a law where you can't say anything bad about the fucking president there, and like he literally had the government buy out and all the various media companies, and basically bankrupted anyone who was against him. Like recently, Trump wanted to turn I didn't know this until recently, that the U.S. actually has like a whole like media department for the government for like news and stuff. And he wants to turn that more into like a pro-Republican and pro-him sort of deal, which is kind of bad. The fact is, the internet is not helping. It's helping with the rise of fascism, to be honest, across the world. But there's still things you can do, like protesting, voting, like donating money to different campaigns, to be honest. Trump is an existential threat to the democracy of America, but I just hope he doesn't win. Oh my god, I really just hope he doesn't win. Like, all the little stuff builds up over time and everyone's just sort of ignoring it. Because even if it's not him who ends the system, he's setting up the building blocks for someone else. Like, Republicans already believe that the system's rigged against them. The media is out against them, the whole world, like the whole United States. Like, they just want to destroy the left, own the libs, to be honest. And that's a dangerous mentality. Because it really, like, it causes extremists. Look at, like, all the right-wing extremists. The mass shootings. The fact is, the attacks on protesters. And the fact is, though, a lot of the right-wing extremists have been infiltrating the police departments, which the FBI has been warning about for, like, 20 years. Like, the Klan and neo-Nazis are, like, really heavily and, like, embedded into the American police system. I mean, it's really fucking crazy. Trump is a white supremacist, and he benefits from the system. That's why most Republicans benefit from the white supremacist system. That's why they're not going to change it. That's literally it. They benefit from it. And they're not going to change the system they benefit from. To be honest, it's pretty depressing. And I don't know what I've been rambling about. Yeah, the whole backslide. There's more instances of the democratic backslide in America. To quote a paper from Robert C. Lieberman, he's a political scientist. Trump has repeatedly challenged the very legitimacy and the basic mechanics and norms of the American electoral process, invoking the specter of mass voter fraud, encouraging voter suppression, selectively attacking the Electoral College, and threatening to disrupt the peaceful transfer of power, and noted that never in the modern era has a presidential candidate threatened to lock up his opponent, castigated people so publicly and repeatedly on the basis of their country of origin, sex, religion, disability, military service record, and operated with no evidence of regard for facts or truth. And Trump was doing that as a candidate, and he's been doing that as president. And currently while he's running, he's delegitimizing the electoral results right now, saying there's going to be massive voter fraud in mail-in ballots, even though the problem with that is there's literally hardly any electoral fraud in America. And even with mail-in ballots, there's a whole system where they check the signature of the person who voted on the ballot, and if it doesn't match, they throw the ballot away. Literally. And that's if it doesn't match at all, or barely, if there's a slight difference, they'll just fucking throw that shit away. Sometimes I'll try to call and work things out with the person, see if they actually filled it out. But actually committing mail-in fraud, voting fraud in general, is very hard. And it's funny because the Republican fucking did that shit last year, 2 years ago, when he was running for the House. He literally got caught committing electoral fraud by stealing ballots and absentee ballots and filling them out for people. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Republicans also have this weird thing where they committing electoral fraud and voter suppression. Yeah. They literally got sued in the 80s for voter suppression in New Jersey, where they weren't for I think it was about, so for 20 or 30 for 20 or 30 years they're not allowed to do certain activities in the world and the state and the country. And I think it recently ended in I'd say 2015ish, 2017. There was several things they couldn't do because they literally committed voter suppression, and they had their whole thing was they had poll people, people outside, and guns and stuff, scaring voters away, saying they're protecting the process. And basically scaring away black voters and minority voters. The whole thing. I should do a whole thing on it. It's pretty fucked up, but I don't have time to go through all of it right now. I really should have stuff more prepared, but I should probably do whole thing about why the Republicans are fucking awful. Trump's also been delegitimizing journalism and journalists for a while, calling it fake news. He, like, any criticism, they say fake news. And, like, I've met several Republicans who don't trust, like, any media outlets but what they see on fucking Facebook, which is fucking retarded, because Facebook's full of fucking liars, because people lie all the time on the internet for clout. And Trump's been widely praising, like, dictators and, like, illiberal movements, like people who embrace authoritarianism. He routinely praises Kim Jong-un and fucking Vladimir Putin. Even when they were talking about doing the coup in Venezuela, Trump wasn't really for it. Because, you know, he likes dictators. There's like a whole story about it. There's so much fucking shit that happens all the fucking time. It's so hard to fucking remember all of it. I should start actually writing notes down. Like, even though the Democrats have the House, he has a lot of executive power from executive orders, and shit takes years to go through the courts. And like, the courts are packed full of conservatives that Mitch McConnell put in there. Like, he can do whatever the fuck he wants right now. Most of their executive action, and most of it won't be stopped, even if it is for like years, unless we win in November. Honestly, I think a lot of people see things incorrectly about the election. Some people, just because Trump's an actual legitimate internal threat to our democracy, even if he fails to become the dictator for life, someone else in the Republican Party will try, and they will he's imprisoning his opposition. They're like kidnapping and locking up fucking protesters who disagree with him. This is just the beginning. Like, he just set the precedent. Someone with more of a vision and like intelligence will mass lock up and deport and like send more people and he sends the illegal immigrants into camps right now. He'll put his political enemies in camps too. Like, fuck. Yeah, they'll do whatever they can to delegitimize the whole Democratic Party and the left wing, whatever they can to make it seem like they're the enemies. The whole point of the Republican Party is to protect corporate interests. And if that means embracing white supremacy, totalitarianism, they'll do it. The rights of the worker, they don't care about. The worker, they're just fucking drones and robots for the rich. So the rich can buy stuff and whatever the fuck they want. They don't care about you. They don't care about the poor. They don't care about the sick, the elderly, the disabled. They're just they just literally see people as a way to get money. The system is built with an oppression of minorities and even the whites in the majority. Capitalism sucks. Fuck this shit. But you can't. Authoritarianism sucks. Fuck that shit too. Honestly, it's not the best time. I don't think Trump will win, but you never know. They're literally supporting Kanye and like getting him on the ballots just to help Trump's chances of winning, so he can be in power. They're like putting him in like swing states and shit to try to stifle white black vote from Biden. But honestly, Kanye's fucking crazy, and they're using him, and it's kind of sad because I actually do like Kanye. I did, at least, before he went to the dark side, I guess. Became a corporate shill for the conservatives. Honestly, you need an opposition party and like people to criticize you and you to criticize them to help expand your arguments and like improve like your policies. But if one side literally exists to harm people and ensure that there's forever an underclass in society. They hate the homeless, they hate the poor. They believe in a hierarchical structure where they see themselves on the top and everyone else below them doesn't deserve anything. And that's really fucked up. Because when we die, it doesn't matter. We're all equal in the grave. Like, yeah, we're all gonna die soon. The rich can probably stall it out more with the fancy pills and surgeries. But sooner or later, it catches up with you. And we all die in the end. So we should just not make it shitty for everyone else. We should do our best to help everyone. Like, honestly, that's really my problem with both sides. They don't go far enough with helping. We're a society, we should do more. We should have universal healthcare. No one should be dying from the dumbest shit that's preventable. Just because they couldn't see a doctor. And the fact is, your health insurance is tied to your job is fucking retarded. That fucking locks you down to a job you probably don't want or hate. Like, you lose freedom from having your health insurance locked down to your job. Because you like your health insurance, you're not gonna look for anything or like start a business or something. Because you fear you not having insurance. Because any accident will set you back and ruin your life or like put you in mass amounts of debt. We should also have universal pre-K and childcare. So people can actually go do stuff, you know, like work and like focus on careers and stuff. Like Republicans really cared about children and they would do more for kids and actually put money in schools, you know. But the whole abortion debate is just to control women's bodies. And I'm a man, so I don't really give a shit if women have an abortion or not. It's up to them. And like, there's a weird coinky-dink and the whole crime rate where I'm not talking about the Democratic backsliding, but long story short, there's like when they at the same time they removed gasoline removed the lead out of gas, abortions became legal, the crime rate started going down. So yeah, it could be either or, but either way, Trump's an existential threat to the democracy of America. First things first, he's delegitimizing the media. He's delegitimizing electoral results. He is also undermining the system from within, expanding executive powers, and the Republicans are packing the courts with their supporters. So even if the Democrats win, they still have to deal with the court system that's against them. They can't. Once people have these powers, they don't want to give them back. So even if we regain control, I highly doubt Biden will reverse any of this. And also, someone more intelligent will break the system. And if the system breaks, I'm not sure what happens. It could be good, it could be bad, it could be our side, it could be theirs. People will die. And I don't know what the fuck to do about that. Capitalism sucks. Bye. Thanks for listening. Vote Biden.